Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to discuss 40k's Navis Imperialis, or Imperial Navy. What is it? What does it do? How does it function? This is part 1 of 2. By the way, real quick, if you happen to like what you see here, feel free to like and subscribe. I recently got YouTube membership set up where you can get everything from Discord roles to wallpapers I make to exclusive streams, videos, and more. I've already got a couple of badges made. I'm also looking into emojis as well. That said, let's just dive into the video. The Imperium of Man, despite the odds, encompasses and dominates the vast majority of the galaxy today. We only need to look at a map of its span to get an idea of the scales we're operating at. As such, a galaxy-spanning, well-armed, maneuverable, independent, efficient, self-sufficient, and self-sustaining navy is required to effectively secure the various territories of mankind. Unfortunately, the Navis Imperialis only happens to be 2.5 of those things, but it does its best when it's allowed to, when it knows where to do it, when it knows it even has to do it, assuming it even knows the planet in question exists, within a decade of the fight breaking out. But yeah, the Imperial Navy has it rough, let's be honest. That is less a reflection of the branch itself, however, and more so the Imperium as a whole. Remember, humanity's empire is basically a mirror image of the Emperor himself, a rotting carcass kept on life support. It is only thanks to the return of Roboot Gilliman that the plug wasn't pulled by a combination of bureaucracy, the shenanigans of chaos, and some very, very hungry space bugs of death. No, not those space bugs. Not those either. There we are. At a macro scale, things are a horrid, disjointed mess that's barely being salvaged by the Lord Regent. It is only when you actually start to look at things on a tactical level that you'll see where the Imperial Navy shines. Despite all of its flaws, you will find that at the local level, the Imperial Navy is full of talented officers, some of which I can only describe as being cursed with unhinged, stim-crazed brilliance, like, say, Eloise Agathe and her right-hand woman, Finula. On paper, quite a few of its ships aren't the worst things either, rather being exceptionally capable platforms when they're actually at their proper capacity to operate. That's the key, though. Their ships are not at the capacity to operate. The thing about the Imperium is that its naval procurement is... well, there's no way around it. It's complete and utter shit. That's right! This was really a procurement and organization video all along. You fools! You simpletons! I am a fucking nerd and will always get into this shit at any opportunity I can. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Okay, one of the elephants in the room, gosh. Technology. In its current state, humanity is a fallen shell of its former self. Almost every piece of advanced technology ever created by mankind is either forever lost to history or is buried somewhere in the galaxy, waiting to be reclaimed as archaeotech. To make matters worse, of the small fraction of reclaimed archaeotech, much of it has just been flat out lost once again, or worse, you have platforms with that tech integrated in it, and nobody knows how to use it, maintain it, repair it, or even replace it for that matter. As such, the Imperium has an aging fleet of vessels bearing irreplaceable components that, had they been working, would expand the Navy's capabilities by an extraordinary amount. On paper, these ships are very long-lasting, and they are, with most ships currently in service being at least a few centuries old, many being far older in the thousands. As a matter of fact, even when a ship is mission-killed, it is often in a salvageable state where it can be repaired and sent back into service. Seriously, the lifespans of warships in 40k are utterly insane, and as much as I will give the Imperial Navy, even though I love it, shit, its ability to maintain, repair, and rearm is nothing to scoff at, ignoring the decline in quality. That'd be like if the Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier is still considered a viable, capable carrier in the year 3024. But TLDR, due to the Imperium not actually understanding the finer workings of its own technology, the end result is an expansive aging fleet that is actually losing capability and capacity. New ships that are brought online are actually less advanced, and that is when they even are commissioned. Even for the largest orbital manufactorias around planets like Jupiter, you will find production cycles span decades for your average vessel, and something like a battleship or grand cruiser can take a century or centuries in some cases. This is why humanity has to be so good at just working with what it's got, and this is by necessity. The Imperium, deep down, knows it can't afford to replace whatever it loses. Yeah, there's like 50 weapon systems that are perpetually switched off because nobody knows how to turn them on. Yeah, we don't know why the Gellerfields work, they just do, but we do know how to tighten a screw here and there. We do know how to at the very least install a pipe or weld something onto another thing. Oh, the hydraulics on our cannons aren't working, meaning they can't remain steady on their own? Just take it out, make a swivel, attach a camera, and have some jockey with a joystick aim the thing manually after receiving an order. But, like a certain real-life navy that currently has a laughable amount of converted submarine hulls in the Black Sea thanks to a Chad country without a navy, and it gets worse is a, well, motto of the Imperium. Even if there are a million things the Imperium just doesn't know how to do or make or maintain, it still has plenty of things it absolutely can work with. I mean, it's not that hard to make an autoloader. And it isn't like the Imperium is against using them, because it does, or at least the Imperial Guard does now and again with certain weapons. But the Imperial Navy just simply chooses not to. Instead, every shell in a macro cannon, as an example, is just loaded by hand. Any attempts to fix this issue will go one of two ways. Hey, why don't you guys make like an autoloader for the cannons so we can be more efficient in combat? You're insinuating that we should change our technology? Take heresy! Crucify this blasphemer! Or, hey, here's some funds and materials to make an autoloader. Here you go. And then those funds and materials mysteriously dry up fast despite there being no autoloader, and ignore the new flashy orbital manor next to Saturn. The Imperium's own religious manners, to add on to that, basically makes everything even slower. Oh, you need 80,000 nuts and bolts? Give us a year, we're gonna have Timmy the tech priest start the process of blessing every single one of them individually next month. Oh, the thrust vectoring of the ship isn't working? Pfft, you're not praying to the machine spirit hard enough. Here, send this slave into the room with the leaking reactor to rub ointments on said reactor. That'll probably help. With all that in mind, you might be wondering how the Imperial Navy ever gets anything done or achieves any meaningful victories. And the answer is, it just fucking doesn't. Not without a huge, gargantuan expenditure of talented crews, tonnage, ammunition, and more. It can replace some of it in the short term, and after a few centuries you might see a replacement fleet, but really, the Navis Imperialis only gets anything done through brute force. Against an enemy like the Orcs, yeah sure, this works, but others? Short of a total victory, throwing a fleet at the Tyranids just for it to be lost is essentially just giving the bugs a road trip snack. This is why you will see the Imperium focus on decisively defeating the Tyranids wherever they can, no matter the cost. It gives them breathing room until the next High Fleet shows up. And put the Imperial Navy against the Tau? Well, to summarize... Truth be told, the only two saving graces for the Navis Imperialis would be the localized brilliance you see in certain officers, and the ongoing reforms of Roboot Guilliman. Otherwise, the branch's strengths are all just essentially undercut by the Imperium's own hubris and decay. But there's a charm to it, if I'm being honest. There's just something fun about the Imperial Navy. Its aesthetics, its weaponry, it's just enchanting watching two ships duke it out like this is the Battle of Trafalgar. Yeah, it's a walking disaster of a navy, but we can't all be the UNSC Navy, and I will get to making a video on the UNSC Navy, or another video. It is fucking lightning in a bottle, and I love it. That said, what do you think of our favorite corpse navy working for its corpse empire in service to its corpse emperor? Do you see now? Do you see why chaos shall consume? Do you understand now why the false emperor was doomed from the start? Do you see the true beauty in the order of the Empire?